Hey guys, welcome back. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been slowly printing up all of the parts for an Eldar Phantom Titan. And all the parts are now printed apart from the weapons, which are currently printing at the moment. With the idea being that I want to paint this up in a similar style to my Mimera Eldari army, but I want it to have a more grimdark and battle-worn feel to it. And I've been watching a lot of videos from the Grimdark Compendium, and I've been learning all their tips and tricks for painting in the grimdark style in preparation for this model. However, I decided that it might be a good idea to practice these techniques on a much smaller model before I go head first and ruin this enormous model that I spent so much time printing. And this model is indeed enormous. I had no idea how big this was until I started to see the size of the parts. And I'm really happy with the print and the way the parts turned out. I did hollow some of the chunkier pieces and dug some drainage holes to allow the resin to drain out of the model and allow me to go in and cure the inner parts. And it even has the functioning cockpit and pilot in the helmet as well, which is a nice touch I didn't expect for a 3D print. But enough about the Phantom Titan for now, as that'll be for another video once I've mastered the Grimdark style. And for today I'm just going to be keeping things nice and simple, and I'm going to be practicing the Grimdark battle damaged look on one of the Terminators from the Leviathan box set. And the first step in the process is to add some pre-damage to the model using a sharp hobby knife. And I'm just going to slowly go round each armour panel on the model and apply some random dents, chips, scratches and cuts. You generally want to focus the damage towards the bottom parts of the model, however I will be applying small amounts of damage in random places all over the model. And this is just going to help sell the overall battle damaged effect. Next, I'm going to be continuing the pre-damage phase by applying some AK Muddy Ground, but any textured basing paste should also work. And I'm just going to use this to add some texture to the bottom parts of the model, like the feet and the bottom of the legs and the bottom corner of the shoulder pads as well. And I'll also apply this to some of the recesses between all of the armour panels as well. And this is one of the many techniques which I stole from the Grimdark Compendium, which really helps to sell the gritty Grimdark look. So if you haven't already, you should definitely go check them out, as they have an awesome channel and website with loads of great tips and tricks on how to paint in the Grimdark style. Once all the pre-damage and grit had been applied, I then primed the model in black spray primer, followed up with a coat of Army Painter Tree Ancient, but any mid to dark brown would work here, as this layer is the layer that is going to represent the chipping colour. And by that I mean this will be the colour that shows through the armour on any of the damaged parts, which I'll be applying later on in the process. Next I applied AK Worn effects as my chipping medium, applied via an airbrush to the entire model. And I applied this over 2 coats, allowing for 5 to 10 minutes drying time in between each coat. And once this has been applied, this should give the model a slightly satin sheen. And once that had dried, it was now time to apply the actual armour colours. And for this I'm going to be using Army Painter Worn Stone and Matte White. Firstly with the Worn Stone coming in at 45 degrees with the airbrush, and applying this in a zenithal style fashion. And then coming in with the Matte White from directly above, and applying some spot highlights to all of the upwards facing surfaces. Next it was time to utilise the chipping medium and add to the battle damaged look. And to do this you'll need some clean water and either a toothpick or a damaged airbrush needle or something similar. And all you need to do is add a little bit of water to any of the panels that you want to add additional damage to, which will reactivate the chipping medium underneath the armour colour, which will allow you to go in with a sharp tool and then create some additional damage on the surface of the armour panels. And at this stage it's up to you how much additional battle damage you want to apply. I decided to go fairly heavy with it, and just repeated this same process for all of the armour panels on the model. Next it was time to paint in all of the rest of the trim on the model, and to do that I firstly base coated all of these areas in black, and I then painted in all of the gold areas in Army Painter Tainted Gold, and this included the Aquila, the emblems and the bullets in the gun. Next I'm going to be painting in all of the metallic areas using Vallejo oily steel. And this is going to include the barrel of the gun, and any tubing and vents on the model as well. I then painted in the purity seals on the model, using Army Painter Ancient Stone for the parchment, and then Army Painter Imperial Navy, highlighted with crystal blue, for the wax part of the purity seals. I later on then used this same blue to paint in the eyes and the lens on the targeting visor. Next, I applied a quick edge highlight to the gun, firstly with Army Painter Deep Grey, followed by a lighter highlight of Army Painter Uniform Grey. And this doesn't have to be too neat, you just need to roughly catch all of the edges. Next, it was time to add some shading to the model, using the Grimdark Villainy inks. And for this model, I'm going to be using a 2-to-1 mix of Goons Grime and Ichor of the Damned. And I'm just going to apply this undiluted to the entire model. And for the removal process, I just went in with a Q-tip, slightly dampened with some white spirits, and used a dabbing motion to reactivate the enamel wash on all of the raised surfaces, which should slightly remove the wash from all of these areas. And I'll just systematically go around armour panel by armour panel and repeat the same process. And then after letting the model dry for a couple of hours, I then came back in with a 50-50 mix of the same colours I used to paint the armour, to apply a very light dry brush to all of the upward facing surfaces and raised edges. And this is just going to help highlight and bring back that white colour that was lost during the shading process. Next, it was time to add some corrosion and rust to all of the armour and metallics. And to do that, I'm going to be firstly using Villainy Ink's Sector Rust, which is a really nice bright orange rust. And I'm just going to be applying this to random parts of the armour, focusing more on the lower half of each section, and applying it to some of the recesses and joins between the armour panels, and also on any of the vents on the back of the model as well. And I'll do this by applying the rust effect to all of the areas that I want it, and then come back in for a second pass to reinforce any area that I want to add that extra rusty effect. I'm then going to go in with some Army Painter Verdigris effect to apply some corrosion to all of the gold parts of the model. And I'm going to mix this 1-to-1 with water. And I'm just going to apply some random spots of this to all of the gold sections. And after that was complete, I gave the model a quick coat of matte varnish to take away any of the shine from the previous washes. And it's now complete and ready to be based. And I'm really pleased with the way this model turned out. This was the first time that I've used a lot of these techniques and products. However, I really enjoyed the process and really love the way the armour turned out. And I'm definitely going to be trying to apply these techniques to some different models. Most likely I'm going to try and take a smaller Eldar model and try and apply these techniques to my Craftworld Chimera paint scheme, in preparation before I tackle the enormous Phantom Titan. But both of them will be for another day. And as always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.